Christmas decor is gorgeous, but what if it actually worked for your home too? Hi, my name is Leslie and welcome to Happy Tuesday, where we do crafts and DIY and home decor and more. Today I'm making 5 stylish DIYs you'll wish you made sooner in the season because you're using them every single day. Now, don't forget to stick around until the very end and I'll have a hint on one of next week's projects. So grab your favorite Christmassy beverage and let's get crafting! Let's take a quick sneak peek into all of today's projects. I am so excited to bring these to you. I am loving them. I hope you do too. That brings us to project number 1. Now guys, this one is super simple. So we're going to take one of these dollar store gnomes, and I am going to cut off the tag and then kind of disassemble him. Now luckily this is made with some hot glue and with just a quick touch of my heat tool, and this isn't a heavy duty one, so a blow dryer would probably work. We are going to be able to loosen that glue up enough to get his little hat off his head. Now, if you don't have a little gnome, these are still, well, they're $1.50 now at the Dollar Tree, but you know, they also carry some of those little stuffed animals that would work too. So I'm going to take off his arms and his little head, and we are going to, I'm going to have to glue this little arm back on. So I tried to make sure that it was in a similar place. And then we're using a recycled jar. So, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of jar. This one was a candle at one point, but you know, a good old spaghetti jar would work great too. And I'm going to glue that hat right on top. Now be sure that you don't glue it too far over so that your jar lid will still screw onto your jar. This way you can use your jar, and we are going to stick some sweet treats in there. All right, once I've gotten that glued on, I'm gonna stick my lid right back on the top of my jar and make sure that his little beard is all set. I decided to glue his little arms to kind of hold his beard down and set that there. Sorry, you got a nice view of the top of my head a couple times. I thought I edited all that out, but I guess I did not. All right, and make sure that everything is glued and set. Now, you could just leave him here. I decided to add a little bit more glue to his hat. I didn't like it sticking straight up, and I thought he needed some feet. But I wasn't real keen on the feet that he had on his little body from when I bought him, so I grabbed a little bit of felt and my scissors and used his current little feet as some patterns and cut out 2 new feet. Now I'm going to get them set where I want them and add some hot glue, and that is all there is. Isn't he just adorable? And you know, the fun part is this would make a great gift as well. So even if you don't want to use it as decor in your own house, now of course I put some little fruit snacks in there for my grandkids and we are going to stick this up on the counter. I think this would also make a super fun and easy teacher gift. And since this particular gnome isn't really Christmassy colors, he can stay out all winter long. I just wanted to pop in here real quick and say thank you. I appreciate that we get to spend time together. If you're one of my regular subscribers, you know how much I love you. Thanks for being here and welcome back. If you're not, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell below so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. You'll help my channel grow and it doesn't cost you anything. Give today's video a big old thumbs up, share it with your friends, comment down below, give it a hype, and let's get back to crafting. That brings us to project number 2. This is also another super simple one. Now, I'm sure you guys have all seen, because I have in multiple people's channels, taking the Dollar Tree placemats and making them into pillows. And honestly, that's what I was going to do until I went to Dollar Tree and I decided I don't like the look of their placemats for Christmas. But I loved these little tea towels and thought these would be perfect because they're super soft for a nice pillow. And it's a good size too. So I took my little dish towel, and I folded it in half and then snipped it off at the halfway mark. I suppose you could skip this step if you wanted to, but I kind of wanted that little kind of seam look. And then I am taking some fabric hot glue. This is washable, and so that way if something happens to the pillow I can wash it. And we made that seam all along the top. Now I'm also going to go ahead and use that hot glue, and we are going to go down both sides gluing. Now make sure on that seam that you get glue on both sides of it, so that it sticks properly. But we're going to go ahead and go all the way down. Now the thing I loved about these tea towels too is it has that nice surged edge on the side, and I thought that just gave it the final pop that it needed for this towel. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, get both sides of these glued down there, and I just did a little bit at a time so that it would stay hot as I'm sticking both pieces together. Otherwise, the fabric glue, it does kind of cool off really quickly, and if you tried to do the whole edge, I think you'd end up not getting everything glued all the way down. All right, now that we've gotten those done, I'm going to take some old pillow fluff, and I think that's funny. I'm stuffing a pillow with some old pillow fluff. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and stick as much in there as you want to make your pillow as fluffy or not fluffy as you want for your decor. I think these would also make really cute gifts as well. Maybe pair it up with a little blanket. They've got some really cute ones I saw. We have a new Ollie's in town, and they have the big oversized fluffy throws for like $6. And I thought, man, that would be a really cute gift if you were going for the cute and cozy, some little Christmas pillows with a nice throw. And once you've gotten that stuffed as much as you want, well, actually, we're going to stuff it just a little bit more, but I want to close up the edges so that, we're not having the stuffing falling out as I'm trying to squeeze it in there, and then give it that final little piece so that our corner has stuffing in it. Otherwise, once your seam is completely closed up, it's really difficult to try to pull stuffing back down into that corner. And nobody wants one corner looking unstuffed. All right, so once you've gotten that final little piece of stuffing in there, we're going to close this up, and that is all there is to this DIY. Now, if you don't have the hot glue gun, but you've got other, the hot glue for fabrics, but you've got other fabric glue, feel free to use that. I think for pillows, you just want to make sure that they're washable. Now, if you don't have any of that fabric hot glue, I will have a link down below where you can find some. All right, that is going to bring us to project number 3. Now, I did actually a couple of functional Christmas DIYs last year, and I will have both of those videos linked below. And I had another take on this paper towel holder using one of those big chunky, I want to say it was a snowman that I bought at Michael's, but I could not find any of those this year. And I thought, if we're going to get even more budget friendly, let's just go with some scrap wood. So that's what we're going to do. And I have a really cute idea. So I took the piece of scrap wood that I had to make the bottom with, and used our little scroll saw and cut out that circle. And then I'm going to take the plunger from the Dollar Tree and cut that down, and that'll be my little holder in the middle of my circle. And then I also am going to cut off this piece of scrap wood, and it was about, I want to say, 6 or 7 inches long, just big enough to be able to look like a present, and also be able to keep the paper towel in its proper spot. All right, now I'm going to find the center of my circle, and again, I apologize for the top of my head here. And once I find the middle of that circle, I'm going to go ahead and grab out my handy dandy screwdriver. And for that paper towel roll piece, the plunger part, you actually need a 3/4 inch drill bit. So I started with kind of a pilot drill and then drilled it out. So after I've gotten that done, I'm going to take some of this forest green chalk paint that I got from Michael's, I believe it was, and I am going to give everything a nice coat. I wanted it to be really Christmassy this year. All right, we are going to go ahead and put in some of that wood glue by Super Glue on our plunger, as well as our base in the hole, and that way that'll stick in there really good. And then I grabbed one of these Dollar Tree little wooden trees. You can't find these anymore either. At least I haven't been able to at multiple Dollar Trees. Let me know if you've been able to find them. I think you can still find them at Hobby Lobby, but these are leftover supplies from Dollar Tree. And once I got that glued, I did take some little puff paint and made it look like it was kind of snowy up there, since it all kind of blended together. And then I'm going to take this ribbon and we are going to glue the ribbon all around the front of this project. So you're not going to really see the back side of this because the paper towel holder is going to be on there, or paper towel is going to be on there. And so I'm just using regular hot glue, and I only glued the edges, that was pulled around to the back side. I did not glue the middle, just because I didn't want that hot glue look on the middle. Sometimes it gets kind of bumpy, and I didn't want that. So I just pulled it really taut and glued it at the top and then along the back side. All right, once we've gotten that all situated, I trimmed off a little bit of the edge that was not necessary, and now we're going to come along to the front. Now, as any good present is wrapped, you've got the bow along, or the ribbon along two sides. So since this is kind of a rectangle-y present, I'm going to put this side of the ribbon a little bit closer to the top and glue it down in the same way that I did the first one. Then once I've gotten this all glued down, we are going to make the bow for the front of our little present here. And I am just going to do like a little awareness kind of bow. So I'm just kind of folded it over, figuring out, what I wanted to be showing of my ribbon. That's I guess the problem, but also the bonus of having a ribbon with stuff on it that's not, just a plain colored ribbon. But you can use whatever ribbon you want, and, and make your present look like however you want it to look. This kind of matches my decor. I really go in for the traditional type of colors. And once I've gotten that bow kind of the way I want it, then I just grabbed a little bit of wire, twisted that around the center to hold it in place. I'm going to dovetail my ends just to make them look all fancy and stuff. And then I'm going to make sure that my wire is down and secured, and another good glob of hot glue onto the back side. And we're going to push that down so that it stays in place. Arranging my ribbon so that I like the way it looks. And now we are going to take some of that wood glue by Super Glue and glue it onto the edge. When I made my circle, I did leave kind of a flat edge there so that this present would stick well and be able to hold our paper towel in place. And I love the way this sits. I had the paper towel holder that I made at during the fall time sitting here, and it was really hard for me to pull out that old metal paper towel holder again. So super excited to have one that is Christmas styled. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And that brings us to project number 4. Now, you can't have a pretty paper towel holder without having a matching napkin holder. So I grabbed the napkin holder that you can get from the Dollar Tree, the metal ones. And if you don't want to use a wooden base, or you don't have a wooden base for yours, then that metal piece would work great. You can just, hook it on there with some zip ties, or you could glue it on with like a contact cement kind of thing. All right, so I'm using the wooden base that I have is actually not a scrap piece of wood like the other two pieces are. It is one of those jumbo tumbling tower blocks, or the jumbo Jenga blocks. Anyway, so I painted it with that same green color, and because you're going to be able to see both sides of this, I did bring my ribbon all the way around. Now the problem in doing this is you've got ribbon on the bottom, which could create an issue. So if you don't want to deal with that issue, then only bring the ribbon around from one side all the way over to the other side and leave the bottom blank. But I didn't think it was going to cause enough of an issue that I went ahead and glued it on there. And then I'll just show you what I'm going to do to make sure that everything stays together. Once I get that done, then we're going to go ahead and do the same for the side ribbon coming around, and just like we did with the paper towel holder. And then once we've gotten all that glued down, we're going to do the same type of bow on the front as we did before. Now, because this is a napkin holder and it's sitting on my table, I did make sure when I put on the second block's ribbons that they matched up with the first block, and I did both sides of both blocks. And then we're going to measure off to make sure our ribbons are the same size once we kind of got figured out what we want there, and connect them together with that same wire that we did before. Now this is just craft wire that I bought at I want to say it was at Michael's in their clearance section at the end of some holiday. And then we're going to glue this together with some of that good old wood glue by Super Glue and a little bit of hot glue for an immediate hold. And I'm going to do that for both sides. Once I've gotten that done, then I am going to grab out my little vice grips, and these came from Dollar Tree. They were in the $3 section at one point. I don't know if they're still $3 or not $3. You can also get them pretty cheap at Harbor Freight, or I'll have some little ones linked down below that you can find on Amazon. But here it is, all super cute, sitting in the middle of my little kitchen table there. I love the way this turned out, and those little Santa napkins from Dollar Tree just look so perfect in there, and you can see it's all pretty on all the sides and looks nice and complete, and I am loving it. Let me know in the comments below what you think. That brings us to our final project number 5, and this is a little remote control holder. So this book I found in the maker section at Michael's. I looked to see if I could find one the other day, because I've had this for quite some time, just wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, and I didn't see it, so I don't remember what the price was that I paid for it. They did have a thinner book, and I think it would still work for remotes in the living room. But if you can't find anything like that, any little box with a lid would work just perfect. All right, so I'm going to use those little nativity figures that you can buy in the mini tree section at Hobby Lobby, and they're 50% off, so they're $5 for that whole little set. And then we're going to grab some tumbling tower blocks, and we are going to make a little stable out of those tumbling tower blocks. Once I've gotten all the hanger parts of my nativity taken off, I'm going to grab that antique wax and antique wax the little stable and the extra piece, just like I did with the book itself. And when I did the book, I did inside and outside, so the whole thing was done. Once we've gotten those set, we're going to take some more of that wood glue by Super Glue and glue the little 2 pieces of our stable together and set that aside to dry. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of that straw and some moss, and we're going to use that for decoration. All right, now time to dry brush. Now I dry brushed a little bit of sandstone. I wanted to give it kind of that antique-y look to it. And then I have some of these little paper pieces that are Christmas songs, and I found one that says "A babe is born in Bethlehem." I thought that was perfect to go with a little nativity. I'm just gonna mark this with my fingernail, and then we're going to rip that off. Now, I wanted this to be kind of vintage-y looking, so once I've gotten that bottom piece ripped off, I'm going to come in with a little bit of water on my paintbrush, and we are going to kind of wet those edges a little bit and tear them off. And that way, when we put it on the spine of our book, it'll kind of give it that vintagey, worn look to it. And it will, I think, look a little more seamless when we decoupage it on there with our Mod Podge than it would be if we just left it as a clean cut, scissor cut piece. So I'm going to do that all the way around. Once that is done, I'm going to give that little spine a dry brushing. And then I'm going to grab that Mod Podge, and we are going to Mod Podge onto the spine the amount that we need just for the paper, so there's no little extra pieces. And then once we've gotten that set, we're going to Mod Podge a little bit on the back side of the paper. That way it gives it a really good, because this paper is kind of thick, a really good coat so that everything's sticking together. And then we're going to place that on there. Once we've got that on there, we'll Mod Podge again right over the top of this. We want to just make sure that that paper isn't going to come off. And I use my little clay rolling pin to make sure to burnish that down real well and make sure it's good and stuck. All right, so once this Mod Podge is going to get dried, we will come back in with a little bit more of that sandstone and give it a nice little coat and just make it have that vintage antique look that I'm going for. And I'm also going to take a little bit of that sandstone, and we're going to make the sides look like book pages, so that as it's sitting on your coffee table or end table, it kind of looks like a little book. So just a little bit more dry brushing just to give it that page appearance. This sandstone color that I used was the perfect color, I thought, to give it that vintage look. And you can buy that at Walmart. It's one of the Waverly colors. All right, now that we've gotten that all done and situated, we are going to start assembly. Now, I thought I was going to use this little contact cement that you can buy at the Dollar Tree, but honestly, it just didn't give me the hold that I was looking for. I should have, done a little bit of contact cement, a little bit of hot glue, but I'm just going to give up with the contact cement and just go into the hot glue. But I wanted to kind of decide where all my little pieces were going to go first. And so we're going to do just a little bit of assembly. I am going to put Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus up underneath the little stable there, and then that extra piece I am going to put on the top. So we'll go ahead and use the wood glue to glue this down. You get a pretty good hold on that fairly immediately. I mean, you have time to work with it, but it gives you a good hold pretty quickly. And then that extra piece we're going to put at the top and add our little angel up there. I think that's the perfect place for her. And then I'm just going to grab a little bit of this straw. These are just little pieces from a Dollar Tree. They have those, I want to say they're 3x4 little hay bales that you can get in the fall time, and I just kind of disassembled one into little pieces, and I'm just taking some hot glue and just putting a little bit of that hay down inside our stable. And then again, I tried to go back with the contact cement and it just was not sticking, so we're going to use hot glue on top of that hay, and then we're just going to use hot glue for the rest of the pieces. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get everybody glued down inside the stable. Once we've gotten that done, then I'm going to use some of that little moss stuff. I want to say I bought this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, in a clearance area, because I always buy that stuff on clearance if I can't find it at Dollar Tree. And then we're gonna get all our pieces glued down and add that moss around them just to give it that kind of outdoor appearance. But everything is glued down so well, and I've a couple of times, opened the box all the way open, so it's actually sitting on top of the angel's head, but all of the pieces stayed in place perfectly, and I love the way this turns out. And I think it's really cool to have, this tiny little nativity set sitting on our coffee table as a great place to hide all those little remotes. And here it is, all complete. As you can see, I added a little bit more of that moss all the way around all the little characters and the animals, and I just love the way this turned out. The only thing it's really missing, which I couldn't figure out how to do, was the star. Now, I suppose if I had, put the angel more in the background, or I could have done maybe something else with the star. I don't know. If you guys have any ideas, let me know in the comments down below. And here is everything all complete for our final look. Loving the way all of these turned out. And again, there's the little opening for our remote controls or whatever kind of thing that you would like to store on your coffee table. Or it might even make a cute little present. You could hide a nice little present inside there. Just a thought. Anyway, let me know in the comments below which one or ones are your favorites, which one are ones that you would like to try to recreate. And if you do recreate any of them, or you've created some cute little functional Christmas decor, send me pictures. I love to see those types of things, and you guys give me so much inspiration. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really had a great time, and I hope you did too. Now, since you stuck around until the very end, here's your hint on one of next week's projects. We are going to get out our scrap pieces and do some crafting. But until then, make it a great day, and Happy Tuesday!